I want to talk about VAR because obviously we only really know about it here in the States with what we see on social media. You live it day in, day out, speaking to fans, speaking to players. Are people as fed up with it as we kind of get the general consensus that they are?
I think, in a word, yes. And I think even the biggest advocates of VAR, and I can count myself among that group of people, I thought this would bring accuracy and clarity and cut out horrendous decisions. What it's done is create a total mess at the moment. And I think the problem is in the way that it's being applied. I think the managers are confused, even the managers who were pretty supportive of the idea in the first place. They look just bemused by what's going on. I think the players don't understand it. The fans are being left in the dark. And I think there has to be a very, very urgent review of this because at the moment, in England, in the Premier League, it just ain't working.
How do you fix it, Ian, if you're in charge?
Thank God I'm not in charge. But I think really the first thing that has to happen is they need to apply it properly. And that means using the monitors at the side of the pitch for the referee who's in charge of that game, an experienced official, to have a look at it. That has not happened once. I don't know how that can be, really, to be honest. We've had goodness knows how many matches. We're in early November and not once has a monitor been consulted. Now, that's because the refereeing supremo, Mike Riley, and his cohorts originally decided, well, it'll save time, we'll streamline the decision-making process and get this thing done properly and in quick time. But that hasn't happened at all, really. It's just added to the confusion and it's not being operated properly. So they have to use it in the way that it's meant to be used. At the moment, it just isn't doing what it says on the tin, which is sort out the decisions and get them accurately applied.
We don't live in the moon, you know.
What do you mean?
Well, we're in the US.
Yes.
We're not on the moon. You try to gauge your reaction back in the UK.
No, but...
so what, you want, a telegram?
Why, where'd you get your reaction from?
Talking to people.
Who do you talk to?
Some people.
Who's the last person you spoke to in the UK?
What do you mean where they get my reaction from? You've only got to watch the games that we get coming in and listen to people and see what the journalists and the players and fans are saying. It's not difficult to gauge your reaction.
But if you use Twitter, for example, for your reaction on anything, it's not really a...
Well, it is if you're following... If you're
the right people.
If you're not listening to the numpties on there, which is 99.9%. However, I've got to say, I think Peter Walton, our colleague, months ago said, and I was flabbergasted, I don't know if he was tongue-in-cheek, but do you remember he said on here, well, one of the problems with the VAR is, you know, we have to get used to watching replays for referees. And I was like, watching replays? It's just simple. So, and now I'm thinking, maybe most of these referees are so stupid that he was actually right.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at replays, clearly, and angles and all different things, and they're sitting there and they're befuddled and bemused. 3 minutes in the Everton game to look at a handball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite scary. I'm with Ian. I'm a big advocate of the technology, but I'm absolutely sick to the back teeth of it now. In England, anyway.
Yeah.
Sick of it. Sick of just talking about it all the time. Don't know about you. Dressed up for the occasion.
Listen, well, it's not going away. And the actual premise...
Well, I tell you what,
the actual premise is fantastic. And unfortunately, you've got referees who, since the game began, have been making bad decisions. And they're making bad decisions in situations where it should be really straightforward. Yeah. And that's the problem. There's nothing wrong with the system. They just have to try and sort it out. And I'm with Ian on the first point he made about the referee in charge of the game has to be the one making the final decision. The fact that the referee's standing in the middle of the park with his finger in his ear and then says, oh, they've decided it's not. Yeah. It's complete and utter nonsense.
I mean, honestly, I think one of the big issues is what they tried to do at the start of the season, which was just crazy, which was, you know, having watched, and we talked about it yesterday and before the World Cup in 2018 was a great spectacle. It was enhanced in the most by VAR. Decisions were pretty accurate and pretty quick. Somewhere down the line, Mike Riley and, as Ian said, his cohorts have said, well, we're the Premier League. Well, we're going to do it a bit differently. Yeah. And we're going to say, you're not going to go and look at the monitor. We are going to referee the game from Stockley Park for big decisions. And we're going to say this stupid this stupid terminology of, and there's a high bar. So straight away, that's got the referees going, well, what the hell's a high bar? I mean, what's a high bar? That high, that high, that high. What's a foul? What's not a foul? What do I go back on? How great is that, Dan?
Yeah.
It's got to be a high bar. A foul is a foul. A foul is a foul. There's not a high bar foul and a low bar foul. There's fouls and fouls. There's dangerous and there's not dangerous, but there's fouls and fouls.
You know, they're overthinking it. We always talk about football players. We're at our best when we're just doing things naturally. When you have to stop and start thinking about it, you're not at your best. The referees, no question, in Stockley Park are completely overthinking every single thing. And the more you look at something and the more you try and convince yourself you've seen something or you've not seen something, and it's just getting all muddled. Just get the referee who's in charge, straight to the monitor, look at it, make a decision, because that's what referees do in a game. They have to make decisions like that all the time. You shouldn't need to look at it 10 times. Have a look at it, make the decision, and then we're off and we're running again.
One of the things with this technology was to make sure that, particularly in the big money that's swishing around now, that the big decisions were correct. The other point of this was to make it clearer for everybody, and particularly the fans, right? And the viewer at home. I don't know about the viewer at home. I can sit now watching a game and it goes to VAR and I'm thinking, apart from if it's obvious, totally obvious, I have got no idea what they're going to decide back here.
No.
Not a clue.
No, it's a lottery.
Oh, that's going to be a handball, for sure. That's going to be a penalty. VAR, no penalty. I'm like, oh my God, how the hell are people supposed to understand what's going on?
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.